Hello and welcome to Tears of Truth mini-series, and it's day 3. It's the final day and I'm so excited because this is my absolutely most favorite part around the Tears of Truth. Today I'm going to show you how the Tears of Truth actually help us answer 2 of the most important questions that anyone faces in their lives. Who am I and why am I here? Yep, you're right. The Tears of Truth are really, really important navigational tools to help us answer those 2 questions. And I bet you never knew that. In fact, I've never heard anyone talk about tears of truth or crying in this particular way. So I think this is an absolutely new phenomenon, and I'm really excited to talk about it. And I'm going to talk about it lots and lots and lots and lots. So let's get started. But actually, before we do that, quick recap. So day 1, we did a bit of myth busting about crying because it gets such a bad rap, and there's lots of judgments about how it's weak, and if you cry in public, you're unstable or you're too emotional and all that sort of stuff. So we addressed all of that there, and I speak about how that is just utter crap. It's all judgment, and most of the time it's people making judgments about other people because they're just damn they're in discomfort being around people that are showing feelings and emotional or are deep feelers. We also then talked about lots of benefits. What are the benefits of the Tears of Truth? What are the benefits of crying and letting those tears fall? So if you're interested in that, go back and listen to day 1. Day 2, I talked about the difference between being emotional and being heartfelt, and the importance of being heartfelt, and that if you feel deeply, then you are going to live more fully, and you're going to be able to live at full potency, and you're going to be able to access the full potential that you have, because guess what? You're going to be vibrant and alive. So that's day 2. So go back and have a listen to that if you missed that. So now let's get into the really cool stuff. How do the Tears of Truth actually give us really powerful navigational clues to those 2 really big, hairy, audacious questions that everyone wanders the planet asking? Who am I and what am I here for? Okay, so there's 4 ways that the Tears of Truth help us. And I've actually already spoken about one of them. The first one is releasing. So when we experience tears because we're releasing emotions, that is actually giving us very strong clues about the false self-beliefs that we are holding. Okay, so we get emotional and we get triggered when maybe someone criticizes us, right? And what it's actually doing is that's feedback to demonstrate that that particular belief we hold about ourselves is a false self-belief, or it might be a limiting self-belief, because I really want you to remember that we are nothing. The Buddhists say we are nothing. Now that word nothing actually breaks into 2 words: no thing. We are no one thing. We are everything. So the reality is, I'm a bit of everything. So people can look at what I say or do, and they can perceive it as everything or anything. And their perception is their perception. I can't do anything about that. So realistically, if you get honest and be okay with the fact that I am no thing, I am nothing, I am no one thing. And so hence people may label me or judge me as particular things, but that is totally from their lens. It's got really nothing to do with you. So first navigational tool, when we are releasing tears because we are triggered and we're expressing and releasing an emotion, it is giving us really valuable evidence and feedback and clues around what we are not. And so when in part of that releasing process, we're actually releasing our attachment to that belief. Yay! Which means we're starting to release a false belief about ourselves, right? which is a fabulous thing to do. So if you're like me, I say, yay, bring on the triggering, because the more I get triggered, the more I get to actually, jettison all this false self-belief. I don't want to get trapped in the valley of false self-belief. I've been there. I've been there in a big way for 5 long years and for a lot of my lifetime. And I don't want to hang out there. There's lots of other valleys that I would like to explore, and there's lots of mountaintops. Okay, so number 2, so I should actually link that clue or that navigational way, releasing of emotions, is actually helping us answer the question of who we are or who we are not, which is just as important. So number two. Now, what happens is that we will experience tears of truth when we're getting feedback around the path that we are on. In this case, the wrong path. Okay, so let me give you some examples. All right, back in business, when I was back in corporate land and I first left corporate and I started working for myself, I did, a natural flow on for me was to do work around strategy, because I was a business strategist and I had a financial background and all that sort of stuff. So I used to do lots of facilitation around strategy sessions and bringing different disparate groups together. And you know what? I was pretty good at that. But what happened was that I ended up starting to get a whole bunch of difficulties, and it didn't matter what I did. My customers were never happy. So this was the universe giving me some very strong feedback about, Jenny, you're on the wrong path, right? So I instead was taking it as feedback of, I'm doing a crap job. I'm not being the best facilitator that I can be, and that there is something wrong with me. Wrong answer. So when we get triggered in that way and we get upset and we experience disappointment because we do our very best in a particular situation, but it's not good enough or it's not appreciated, it's giving us very strong clues as to that second question, why am I here? I was not here to deliver strategy sessions. Yes, they were a very important part of my growth, and they were part of me being a work in progress. But strategy taught me how to create strategies for humanity, how to create strategies for self. And so it was wonderful expertise, but the universe, through disappointment and through me feeling I'm not measuring up, and hence lots of tears of truth there, that I was on the wrong path. So maybe if you feel like you're not measuring up, and if you actually really look at what you're doing with objectivity through your authentic self, and you realize that you're giving your best, right, but it's not appreciated or it's, not landing, then maybe, just maybe, you're actually on the wrong path. And maybe the tears of truth are trying to tell you that and give you clues about that. Okay. Now, I have another example of that in business where I used to also do motivational talks, and I did one for a group of financial people. And so here I am, I've moved into a new topic, but guess what? The presentation didn't land the way I wanted it to. And so again, I went introspective, as you do when you have high standards. And I thought, pardon my French, I fucked it up. The content didn't land. But again, when I found a quiet space and I meditated on that and I got really clear and honest with myself, and I had some objectivity through time and distance, I realized that I had the right content, but the wrong audience. So again, the universe was giving me some very tough and very loud and very humbling feedback. And yes, again, there were lots of tears of truth spilt there, because I had to let go of my ego, and I had to really sit and feel into it and see, is this really the path that I'm meant to be on? And through looking at those sorts of situations and through stepping into my vulnerability that the tears of truth were getting me to do, I started to realize that, yeah, this is some of, a lot of the right content, wrong audience, Jenny, okay? It's not the right time for you to do this stuff in business. I will get there. Mark my words, I'm taking love, particularly self-love, into business. It's going to happen. I'm going to have people talking about love. I'm going to have people in business talking about open-hearted leadership. I'm going to get there, but it's not quite it wasn't the right time then, and it's not quite the right time yet, right? But that's going to happen. Okay, so second method is we get these tears of truth that are initiated when we experience disappointment and not measuring up or things like that. And that's to do with the fact that we're on the wrong path. Okay, so you need to be open and mindful of that. Okay, so now third point is another one about, it also addresses this whole of what am I here for? And it's about the feedback that we get when we're on the right path, okay? So the next two categories of the tears of truth are the ones that I live for, right? They are those magic moments. This is the closest you can get to divinity and experiencing divinity on earth, okay? So it is when you do something and that it is so aligned with your purpose, you are so moved that your heart, your soul, everything just opens, and you are so moved you get those tears of truth, and you realize that you have come home. You have found the path, the purpose, the truth that you are here to express. Now, I always look for these moments and these clues, and I judge the success of my life based on how often I experience my tears of truth, because that holds me accountable. Not that I need to be held accountable to being authentic and true. It's not something I have to hold myself accountable to, but it is something that I love to reflect on. Now, I had a really interesting experience around this when I was speaking at the inaugural International House Sitting Conference. And, I was so moved by that experience because my content was right, the audience was right, and, I was in the zone, and it just felt effortless and beautiful, and like I was a bird flying. And I had tears throughout that. I had tears through my talk, and I had tears afterwards, and I had tears the whole time. And I get a bit I get the tears of truth hanging around when I think about it. So really important signs, tears of truth, when you're on the right path. Okay, so it's all validation, and we want that. We want that because we need directions. And reality is, everything we experience in life is actually a set of clues and directions. But hey, that's more talk for a different mini-series. Okay, so the fourth category of the tears of truth that, show us our way to our purpose and our truth, helps us answer that question, the number one question, which is who we are. And that is when you connect to your authentic self. Usually you are so moved, it brings tears of truth. Now, again, this is something I experience every day and multiple times a day. And it could be when I'm out in nature and surrounded, and I see the beauty of everything around me. It could be when I experience a moment of stillness and everything all of a sudden just seems perfect, right? It could be when I connect with the feeling and the sense of my own love, or when I run my energy and I feel the rhythmic fingerprint of my soul energy in my fingertips or something like that, and you just buzz, and that brings tears of truth. So these sorts of things, I live my day for those feelings, because that's beingness. And that's why we're here. And that's who we are. You know, we get to know who we are. And for me, this may not be the case for you, but, you know, I'm a firm believer that the essence of everyone is love. The essence of everyone is light. We all have that capability. We all have the capability to be an essence of peace and harmony. We may not be in that space all the time, but our core and our center can be that. You know, you can hold that inner oasis of peace, love, joy, and whatever else you want to put in that lovely time capsule of yours in there. And it can always be there. And even when you're in, you know, total discomfort, you have this immense knowing that that is the heart of who you are. That is the magic of your soul. Powerful stuff. That brings tears of truth to my eyes. And I really love talking about this. It's very special and very important, and I think it's really essential to us answering those questions. Who are you? You know, who am I, and what am I here to do? And if you're anything like me, or a little part of me, and you're curious, and you have a big heart, and you want to make a difference to the people's lives, or to, you know, to touch people's hearts and souls, then these sorts of things are important. Okay, so here, me being a lesson of yesterday, I have a big heart and I'm heartfelt. So I've got lots of tears of truth running right now, so much so I can't even see the screen. Gonna love that. All right, so enough from me. I hope you've enjoyed this series. You know, let me know in the comments below. But these are sorts of things that I'm going to be doing from now on. I think they're really important topics. Next week, I'm hoping that you'll tune in. Next week, because it's Valentine's Day, I'm actually doing a 5-day BYO Love Challenge. So if you'd like to get more loved up, or you feel like you need a little bit more confidence, or you would like to you know, forgive yourself for all those little blemishes and things that you got on your scorecard, and you want to get rid of those, or you just want to get rid of some judgment and feel a little more love towards yourself, then tune in. Go on to the events. It's part of Lincoln Speaks, and you can join there. It's promising. It's going to be fun. It's going to be lots of fun. The other thing also is that I'm going to be trying out some of the new stuff that I've been creating in my new playbook called BYO Love. So if you want to be a part of that, and you know, creating and contributing and testing all of that, then come and join me. Go to the events in Lincoln Speaks and sign up and get into the closed Facebook group, BYO Love Facebook group, and let's get it happening. All right, thanks for your attention. You have a fabulous weekend. I know I'm going to. All right, I'll catch you soon. Bye.